Joining me today is Hunter Stoller, certified health and fitness coach. He's been featured on Fox and Friends for his viral healthy pumpkin spice latte dupe, and has a viral TikTok and Instagram creator, is a viral TikTok and Instagram creator. I think he has at least 1 million followers, listeners, has captured national attention after losing over 50 pounds and slashing $11,000 a year from his grocery bill. Now he's sharing exactly how he did it and how you can do it too. He's going to be doing that, obviously, on the show. He breaks down his holistic approach that blends nutrition, fitness, and mindset to make healthy, livable, affordable, fun, and totally doable, even during the hectic holiday season. Makes it all doable and fun. From smart shopping strategies to easy ingredient swaps that turn cravings into crowd pleasers, he shows that eating well doesn't mean giving up flavor or joy. And as the creator of Health with Hunter, he's redefining what sustainable wellness looks like, one realistic, science based, backed up tip at a time. Welcome to the show, Hunter. Nice to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Before we begin our conversation, one of the things that I want you to do is make a distinction between a health coach and a nutritionist, because you're a health coach, not a nutritionist.
Yes, so I became a health coach a few years ago in my senior year of college, and I did an online 6 month certification program after losing 50 pounds myself. And my parents, as part of my graduation present, they helped me with a health coach certification degree by that being my present. And it was honestly amazing. I loved it. I learned so much through the program. I went through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and I opted for the 6 month accelerated program over the 12-month one because I was only taking one class that semester of college. And I learned so much. The difference between a health coach and a nutritionist, first of all, anyone could say they're a health coach. So it's very important to be a certified health coach because that means that you actually went through the schooling or education to, earn that degree. A nutritionist just requires a different set of materials and a different set of schooling. So I went health coach because I think health is so much more than just the foods that we're eating. It's also things that we are surrounding ourselves with, the products that we are using, and so on. Whereas nutrition is much more focused on obviously nutrition and the food that we are consuming.
Yeah, and also health coach sounds more joyful, as I mentioned in the beginning. Nutritionist sounds like, oh my God, now what do I have to do? I have to focus on everything I eat and restrict myself. And so anyway, just I think health coach, I like the sound of that, I guess. But so when you haven't been doing this for a long time, as I understand it, it was in 2020 when COVID hit that you decided to lose the weight and begin this journey?
Yeah, so it was early 2020 when COVID hit, when I really hit my tipping point, and I was like, enough is enough. I needed to feel different. I felt lethargic, I felt lazy, tired, bloated, and I had a lot of acne. And I thought all of that was normal for a 20-year-old at the time. And now I realize that that definitely might be normal, but it doesn't mean that it's right. There's a big difference between something being normalized and something being, right or healthy. And I took it upon myself. I actually joined Weight Watchers, which helped me lose the first 25 pounds. And that taught me so much about portion control. It's not about restricting everything, it's about making sure that your portions are right of certain foods so that you're able to fill up on more nutrient dense foods and you're able to be full and feel good. And I saw the first 25 pounds seriously melt off of me in a few months.
Do you think that's easier for men? It seems to me men lose weight quicker than women do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think the big answer to this question is it really depends how much weight you have to lose. If you are a woman who is 400 pounds and you have a man who's 190 pounds, it is going to be much easier for the woman to lose 20 pounds than it is for the man to lose 20 pounds. But I think there's so much that goes into it. Obviously, our biology, our metabolism, and there's so many other factors that go into how quickly someone could lose weight. But I don't like comparing men and women to each other. I would much rather compare you to your old self and just understand we need to up your protein. We need to make sure you're eating enough fiber, fruits and vegetables and whole grains so that you're full for a longer duration every day. And we also need to make sure that you're exercising in a form of strength training where you're actually building muscle because that means your metabolism is going to be sped up and you're going to be more successful at weight loss.
Okay, that sounds doable. Does it sound fun? Because I did mention you'd have in your bio that we can do this and still have joy and fun in our life. So,
Yeah.
yeah, how do we do that?
1,000,000%. I think there's a healthy swap for everything. The first 25 to 30 pounds of my 50-pound weight loss journey, I focused solely on pretty much Weight Watchers points, some calories, and protein. And it wasn't until I was down to the last 15 or 20 pounds when I started to understand the power of ingredients in our food and how some ingredients are so ultra processed and bioengineered, which is crazy. You could turn around an ingredient label and you'll see contains a bioengineered ingredient on Doritos. And you're like, what the hell is that? It's
Yeah.
something that's fake and made in a lab, which humans are not supposed to consume, especially on a daily basis. And we all have our slip ups, but that's fine. But I am a very big believer that there's a healthy swap for everything. That's what I show on my social media platforms, swapping your coffee creamers, swapping your chips, swapping your cookies. I truly think that there's a healthy swap. And when you make those simple swaps to the ones with simpler and more real ingredients made of real foods, you feel so much more satisfied afterwards. And those ultra processed artificial chemicals in those worse products for you are not tempting you to eat more and more of those ultra processed foods. So I think that your plate could be colorful, your plate could be big, you can make huge meals as long as you're aware of the portions of those more calorically dense foods. You could have the most fun diet, and there's not a day that goes by along my weight loss journey or my current weight maintenance journey where I'm like, I feel deprived, I feel like my food is not fun, because I still dine out, I still eat chips and ice cream almost every single day, but it's all about making sure that my portions are in check.
And also feeling, being aware of your body, right? Being aware, I feel good. I feel better. I think you just mentioned that when I'm eating the good stuff and I'm not eating too much of it, even eating too much of it is too much and I don't feel good. But another thing, when you go to the grocery store, I guess it's really important to really look at the labels of everything that you're choosing to buy, right? I mean, you really need to take a look and make sure it doesn't have all that stuff in it that you've been talking about.
Yes. And people
Yeah.
get very anxious at the grocery store, not knowing what to buy. And that's why I share on social media. I've been really making an effort to post once or even twice a day, just simple swaps, Oh, you currently go for this almond milk. What if I could turn you on to this one that doesn't have any seed oils, gums, fortified ingredients, where the only ingredients are water, organic almonds, and sea salt, which is what almond milk should be. And people wonder why they feel, so bloated after their morning coffee. And it's because, believe it or not, your coffee could have mold in it if it's not organic or regenerative, and your coffee creamer or your almond milk of choice could be filled with either pesticides, or it could just have gums in it, which are fillers that make it thicker, and it's just not natural.
How do we save $11,000 a year? I want to get back to that because I
Oh yeah.
know, yeah, okay, affordability.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things about affordability is people don't understand that they think eating at home is something that has to be so boring, where they will go to a place like Chipotle or Chick-fil-A and think it's, saving money because they're not having to actually cook and clean up. But the downside is when you go to Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, or Chipotle now, a meal could be $16 to $18 a person. Maybe 10 years ago, it could have been $8 to $10, but now it's $16 to $18. And to me, that is crazy because if you're a family of four, that's upwards of $80. Whereas you could get a pound or 2 pounds of grass fed ground beef, two sweet potatoes, and some cauliflower or broccoli for a total of $25 to $30. And if you're living alone, that's enough food for you for 3 or 4 meals. And you can make it at home using all simple ingredients, ground beef, vegetables, fruits, condiments, whatever it is. And you save yourself money, you save yourself time because you don't have to go to and from the grocery store. You know exactly what's going in your food. And just again, about the affordability, you are saving thousands of dollars a week, month, or year. And I've seen this time and time again. And of course, it comes with alcohol as well. We could shift to that.
Yeah.
I have found that when I was 50 pounds heavier and I felt the worst I ever did, I was drinking alcohol twice or sometimes even 3 times a week. Yes, it was college, and I think you could still have fun in college, but just be aware of how much you're having. Maybe one of my biggest tips is if you're at a bar, don't go from vodka soda to vodka soda to vodka soda. Maybe in between your cocktails, you fit in a glass of water. I know it's shocking, but like you do alcohol, water, and you'd be surprised at like how much you don't need that excess.
Yeah, I drink martinis. Is that good? Gin martinis? I guess, how do they fit into the picture? I know how many calories they are too, because I do count calories. And I started, anytime I dieted after I had babies and stuff, Weight Watchers was my place to go.
Yeah,
And
and I think
yeah,
Weight Watchers
yeah.
is fantastic for anyone who just needs education and they don't know where to start, or they just go back to it because they know it worked for them in the past. And it taught me so much. It taught me so much about the foods we should be prioritizing, and then it also taught me so much about the foods that we should be aware of how big of portions we're having. I mean, so many people, including the old me, would put a scoop of peanut butter in their smoothie or yogurt, and I would think it was one serving when it really was 3 or 4 servings, because we don't realize that a tablespoon of peanut butter is a lot smaller than we think it is.
Yeah, measuring. I'm a measurer. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I feel like I'm in control. I
I
don't mind measuring. Like you said, a tablespoon of peanut butter has quite a few calories, and people are slashing on 2 or 3 tablespoons. No, right? So measuring. Let's talk about that.
measuring
Yeah.
Measuring is fantastic. And when I used to work with clients one on one and in group coaching settings, I would say for the first 2 weeks of working together, I want you to either weigh on a scale or measure with a tablespoon or a cup, whatever the measurement is, for 2 weeks. Measure your peanut butter, measure your milk, measure your proteins, because, and especially oils, those are where sneaky calories come in, because that is where people lose control and they think they're doing everything right. Their meals are very healthy. And we could also touch on healthy versus healthy for weight loss, because there's a very big difference between the two. And people think that because they're making, an omelet, but they're drowning their pan with 3 or 4 tablespoons of oil, which is so unnecessary, that it's a healthy for weight loss meal. Sure, if you're using a high quality oil like olive or avocado oil, it's very healthy for you, but it's not going to lead to you seeing results on the scale.
What about snacks? Are they
I
no?
think
Yeah.
I think snacks are great as long as you're building it into your day. So many people are, having snacks, but they're just mindlessly snacking. Snack for a reason. If you're going into work or you're going to school, whatever it is, bring a protein bar with you. Bring a single serve Greek yogurt or cottage cheese and some berries with you. There's single serve bags of chips now and popcorn. Portion control, again, I will keep circling back to it because I truly believe that it is everything, and that is how you control your weight. And the quality of the food determines how you feel, but the quantity of calories determines your overall weight and whether you're going to lose, maintain, or gain weight. So snack with purpose and make sure you're having protein and fiber in all of your meals to keep you satisfied and maintain your muscle.
So no grazing, as people describe it. Just
Grazing is where people fall off the track.
yeah, grazing is not good. Now, when you lose weight and you feel good and you gain more confidence, how do other people, as you're losing weight, they've known you, in your case, let's say 50 pounds thinner with all the stuff that accompanied that. So that now you're thin. I mean, you are handsome. I have a picture
Thank
of you
you.
right here, but still, so you lose all this weight. And now what? Because whether your partner, your parents, your friends, they're going to see you differently.
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen it time and time again on social media that people do treat people differently when they are thinner or leaner. And that's not me just making an assumption. That's based off of studies that I found online. And to me, I obviously every single person is different and we do not know what goes on behind the scenes. But there are so many things that you could have a shortcut in life. And yes, there are GLP-1s and weight loss medications that you could take to get smaller. But to be lean and to, feel strong, that requires so much self-respect, discipline, and accountability. And if you work out and you eat healthy, you're measuring, you're aware of your health, like you know that it is not an easy tactic and not an easy phase of your life. I mean, people think once they get to their goal weight that the job is over and you stay that weight forever, whereas that is not the case. You pretty much have to do the same thing you did to lose the weight as you do to maintain it. Of course, you could eat more calories, and that is part of maintenance mode and not weight loss mode. But so many people think that, oh, I reached 150 pounds, I reached my goal weight. Now I could resort back to eating Cheetos, Doritos, and Fritos. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You need to still focus on your proteins, fibers, healthy fats, and fitting in and building in your desserts into your day.
Yeah, because this is your way of life. It's a new way of life. It's a new operating system as I'm listening to you. But that fear of getting fat again, let's talk about that. Because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people have that too. They're terrified they're going to go, gain the 50 pounds back.
I do too. And I think that's something that's very reassuring for people is you have to understand that in order to lose or gain a pound of body fat, Obviously, as men and women, our weights fluctuate. If you were to drink a cup of water right now, you would see your weight goes up maybe a few ounces, depending on the size of the water. And that is not something that we should be fearful of. But in order to gain a pound of body fat, we need to eat 3,500 calories over our maintenance calories day after day after day. And that's something that to me is very reassuring, because if I step on the scale and I'm 180 pounds and then tomorrow I'm 182 pounds, I think to myself, I know I did not overconsume calories yesterday. All of my meals were in control. And that probably might mean I just maybe had a little bit more sodium. I'm holding on to a little more water weight, or things happen. Our bodies just hold on to things for other reasons. But we have to reassure ourselves that if we know we're doing everything right, it is not body fat. And I know that's especially hard for women to grasp the concept of, but I need you to understand you have to overeat, not overeat volume wise, overeat calorie wise, because you can eat 2 cups of popcorn and that's 100 calories, whereas you have 2 tablespoons of peanut butter and that's 200 calories. So it's not about the size of your plate or the size of the food you're eating. It's about how caloric that food is, as you could tell, because some foods could be very small and very caloric. And it is all about how many calories you're consuming. And if you know your calories are in check, then you have nothing to worry about. Then you're not gaining fat.
Should you be weighing yourself every day?
I'm a big proponent of weighing yourself 2 to 3 times a week. I actually posted this yesterday on Instagram because I have this sort of smart scale in my bathroom that tells you the full picture of your health. It tells you how your water weight, your muscle mass, and your body fat are, changing over time. So people don't focus on that one number, the one big number that you weigh. Like, people focus way too much on that one specific number and they don't focus on what makes it up. So I think men and women should weigh themselves around 3 times a week. I would say maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think that's amazing and it's balanced. And also, you have to weigh yourself first thing in the morning after you go to the bathroom with no clothes on. And you have to do that consistently.
Now, what happens when, let's say, this is the holiday season, you overweight, even without going on the scale, you realize, I put on a few pounds.
Yeah.
And then you get, many people, I should say, get afraid, well, I'm not going to weigh myself now because I put on weight. It's too scary. Don't want to weigh myself. And then you get into this kind of behavior that is kind of negative behavior when it comes to like maintaining your weight, right?
Yeah, so that's the start of a very negative cycle that you could get down. And you have to realize, I mean, everyone has days where they think they look better and days where they think they look worse. Everyone has days where their jeans might fit a little tighter and then their jeans might fit fine and they might fit loose. And that is just human biology. And we need to understand that every single day you're not going to lose zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.2 pounds on the scale. Even if you know you're doing everything correct, our bodies do not work like that. And that's really what differentiates someone mentally. So it really it's really telling about someone's mental strength, because if you know that not every day is going to be linear, where you're not going to get 1% leaner or fitter every single day, we still need to understand that there are roadblocks. And that's what really separates someone from reaching that finish line and staying there, or someone who stops halfway through. So you need to be mentally strong. And that's why not everyone is in the best shape of their life, because it is very hard, Kathryn. And it could be very, very challenging. And there are roadblocks that God, I guess, put in place where not everyone is able to do it. And your mental strength is really, really important. And you need to remember that you are capable of doing hard things, and you could get past these worst body image and worst days where you feel like your clothes are a little tighter, and you just need to keep going, because consistency is key with these things. It's not about perfectionism. Everyone has slip ups, and we just need to focus on making healthier habits every single day to get to that finish line.
Okay, so now we are talking about the psychological aspects of losing weight. So I want you to talk about enablers. I mean, one could be living with an enabler, for instance, or maybe even two, and all of a sudden, you've decided to do just what we've been talking about, but the other person you're living with is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's gonna be hard. And I think
Yeah.
it depends on your relationship with the person. If you're in high school and you want to go on a health journey, it doesn't even need to focus on weight loss. It could just be getting healthier. You feel tired, you feel like you're not performing your best, whether it's at the gym, in a sport, whatever it is, or mentally, you might have brain fog. There are always going to be people, and these could be your best friends, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, husband, wife, your parents, unfortunately, your siblings. I've been very lucky where my family and my closest friends and family have been very supportive. But another thing that I've been seeing online, which I do think is worth calling out, because I agree, if you are someone like I live alone right now, for example, but if you are someone who is able to control your meals without, having a roommate or your girlfriend or boyfriend, like know every single aspect of your life, keep it to yourself and then let people observe your either health transformation, your weight loss transformation themselves. You don't need to announce to the world on January 1st, I'm going on a weight loss journey and I'm going to lose 30 pounds this year and I'm going to feel my best because people don't want to see other people succeed, especially when it comes to weight loss. And the unfortunate, sad reason for that is they know that they might be capable of doing that and they might want to lose weight, but they just don't want to put in the effort. And it requires a certain person to start that journey and be serious about it and keep going with it for months and months on end because some people just don't have the discipline and the willpower to do that. So I'd say keep as much as of it to yourself as you can and find a support partner, a support group, people who also are on similar like-minded missions. I mean, one of my favorite parts about being in this world of being a health and wellness content creator is I found other health and wellness content creators, even if they don't focus on weight loss, who focus on cleaner ingredients, cleaning up your diet, healthy swaps at the grocery store, and they have become some of my best friends because we have like-minded interests and we do similar things and we go on trips together, and those are the people I like to surround myself with. So if you are surrounding yourself with 5 friends who don't care about their own health and they just want to put you down because they're like, why do you want to go on a health journey or lose weight? Like, you're fine. Don't settle for that because you know what you deserve and you know how you feel in your own body. And it's really important that you focus on feeling your best because at the end of the day, you are the only person you're stuck with 24/7.
All right, let's talk about fat shaming. How does this come into the picture or fit?
Yeah, I mean, fat shaming is a big thing. And so many people will, you have to understand, and this really will sum up this entire question in one answer and one sentence. The way that people talk about you, whether you are in the room or not in the room behind your backs, is a direct reflection of themselves. If someone is saying, oh, Kathryn doesn't look good today, or, whatever your name is, just like if they're talking badly about you, it comes from an insecurity inside themselves. And it means that they're not happy with themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and they feel the need to attack the way that you look or the way that you're acting. And it sucks. And I've seen it behind the scenes. I have not been fat shamed. I mean, the closest thing to that was in 2019 for Thanksgiving, which is really when I hit my like turning point and I went 180 in the other direction. It was Thanksgiving. And my mom and sister, they were telling me at the table, they like hinted to me, they were like, Hunter, your plate is full of all carbs. There's no protein, no vegetables on there. Maybe there's like sweet potato. And it was like a pile of all of the very carb heavy meals, carb heavy foods. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And that really woke me up to the fact that like I had no awareness of my meals. I had no awareness of what I was eating every single day. And I'm so happy that that happened. That wasn't fat shaming, but it just made me very aware. And it made me realize, like, wow, maybe this isn't something that I should be eating 4 or 5 times a day, straight carbohydrates. And that's what really turned me on to the whole WW Weight Watchers program. And that's what really changed my life.
Well, the timing was right. Also, it was Thanksgiving where everyone stuffing themselves or could be.
Oh,
Yeah. So that was good timing, I guess, on your mother and your sister's part. I could keep on talking to you. This great advice and as practical advice, easy to I'm going to say easy to do. Uh, Hunter is the creator of Health with Hunter. So if you want to know more about Health with Hunter and about Hunter, um, give us a website, give us platforms we can go to get more information.
yeah, thank you so much for having me on again. And I'm Health with Hunter at Health with Hunter on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Instagram is where I post the most, but I do share tons of content, all for free online. I have simple swap guides. The holidays are here. I have holiday guides, gift guides, and I really just try to make health simple. My initials are HMS. So Hunter Max Solar, HMS Health Made Simple. That's really where it comes from. And I really just try to simplify health for you guys so you could either get leaner, fitter, happier, healthier, whatever your goal is every single day, and you feel your best every day.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for being on the show today. It was great having you. Great
Thank
advice.
you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Joining me today is Chris Gillett, and he is a photographer. We're going to be talking to a photographer in Houston, the headshot mistake that could be costing you jobs. He was a former successful trial attorney and one of Houston's most elite, sought after professional photographers. Chris Gillett exposes how a poorly crafted headshot can silently sabotage your professional image. He explains that first impressions often hinge on subtle cues like posture, eye contact, and micro expressions that convey confidence or insecurity within seconds. He discusses why AI generated portraits, despite their polish, often fail to capture authentic human warmth and credibility. Today, he works with attorneys, executives, entrepreneurs, and industry leaders, helping them to project leadership, trust, and approachability in a single frame. He shows us that a effective headshot isn't about vanity, it's a vital career tool that communicates your personal brand before you ever speak. Welcome to the show, Chris. Nice to have you on.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, this is a really interesting topic. I don't think I've ever had a photographer necessarily on the show, but you went from being a successful trial attorney for 16 years to becoming a photographer. So let's talk about that first, how you made that transition or why you made that transition.
It's so hard for me to tell this short. So if I don't give you enough detail, let me know.
Okay.
Usually when I'm looking for information, like when it's time to hear about your journey, I just want the information, like if we're having a drink,
Yeah.
tell me all about it. So I always try to be brief. So here, I'll give it in bullet points.
Okay.
Even though I did the litigation thing for about 2 decades, I guess, I didn't like it. And it was not a big, it was just a bad fit for me. I had the wrong personality for it. And I just got into headshots. It was just a lark. I've got 3 kids, and the last one was a surprise. So he was younger, and he's 16 now. And 16 years ago, the mobile phone cameras weren't as good as they are now, obviously. And so I got the idea that I did want to learn how to take pictures of my family. So I bought a used camera, got into that. It was a hobby for a few years, started to get a little bit better at it. And I think I'd put pictures on Facebook or something. And a buddy of mine had seen them, and he called me one day and he said, "Hey, can you take a headshot of me for work? I need a headshot for work." And I don't know what made me think I could do it. I never liked my lawyer headshots; terrible. And now I know how bad they were. But for some reason, I said, "Yeah, sure." And he was a good-looking guy, and he was not super disappointed with what we did, but I was. And that's what got me on the path to, okay, well, how do you do this? I'm pretty sure I've seen some.
All right, I'm
ones.
going to stop you there. So you're saying you photographed him but you were disappointed. Like, so how did that, you obviously had an eye for it. Something that I guess you weren't aware of before while you were as a practicing attorney. So what made you, you looked at the photograph and you said, this is not going to work.
That's a great question. I don't know that anybody's ever asked me that before. As I got better at it, of course, I really started to understand what was wrong with those shots that we took. I did not have a sophisticated view of it at the time. And so maybe it was more of an instinct, but if I have to nail it down to one thing, it was just that it looked like he was just sitting there. Like they looked stiff. And he was just a nice looking guy looking into the camera. And that was kind of it. And when I started to figure it out, I found how important, there's certainly important things like, the body language, the lighting, all sorts of other little subtle things like what we wear. Are we wearing complicated stuff? Are we wearing simple, more classic stuff? Are we shooting outside? Are we shooting on a plain background in the studio? But when I started to understand expression, because that does come up in the next part of the story. So I tried to figure out headshots, and that took a couple of years. I finally started to find some that I thought were good. Actually, got to be friends with some of those photographers. And the real moment for me was when I finally started to get it and got a good picture of myself. And it changed how I felt about myself. It was like, okay, I don't look like Clooney, but I look good. Like I should be really proud of this. And
I'm handsome. I'm gorgeous. Whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, hey, I'm not Clooney, but I look really good. I'm proud of this. And everybody can get that version of themselves where it's like, okay, this is the best me. This is an elevation of what I would typically have. And then that became very addictive to do for friends, family, freebies. And I got to the point where I thought my work was as good as anybody in Houston, Texas, where I'm located. And so I started to charge for it on the weekends. And I guess they'd call it a side hustle now, but I don't think they called it that back then. And then one day in end of 2015, I was talking to a buddy that I work with, and I just said, "Hey, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go do this other thing." And they were all, "Go ahead."
Oh, but Chris, you looked at yourself, I'm a handsome guy, and then you look around and you started photographing family and friends. And I went on your website. I'm looking at your photographs. They're beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
but they all do look like beautiful people. I mean, do you photograph people who are not that attractive, or what do you do, or how do you do that when someone comes in and wants you to photograph them for? Like you said, I guess I said in the beginning, entrepreneurs, executives, whatever, and they're not that attractive. So how do you talk to us about that?
Well, the people on my website are all people in Houston, Texas. Those are all real people. Sometimes people will say what you just said to me in a different way. They'll say, well, those are all like models or actors or something. And they are not. They're all Houstonians. Now, they're all successful people. And successful people tend to take care of themselves and look good. And so that may be a bias in the selection. I mean, there are some heavy people on there. I don't know if you noticed. Harris County, Texas is kind of notorious for that. They look great too. And the point is, if you do the right stuff in front of the camera, let me say it this way: being photogenic is not a magical set of facial features that people have. It is doing the right stuff in front of the camera. I look better now because I've been taking way better care of myself than when I took that first shot that I loved. But when I took that first shot that I loved, I looked better in that image than in anything that had ever been taken in my life before, because I did the right stuff in front of the camera. That's the whole. I thought I made that point before, and if I didn't make it properly, I apologize. This is important. If you think that you can't take a good shot, you're wrong. You just do not know what to do. The expression part of it is not to be underestimated. If you have a confident expression, if you have a likable expression, you are going to look like a better version of yourself. And there's also certain things that we can do to make the face look better in real time in front of the camera. So I would disagree with the idea. And this is, by the way, that most people think this, and they're just wrong about it. Yeah. That, oh, well, he can do that with somebody, but he can't do that with me. That first good shot of myself that I loved, I was skinnier than I am now, not in a good way. I had glasses that made me look 10 years older. I had a haircut like I was a radiologist or something. I mean, it was a worse version of me, but it was the best picture of me that had ever been taken because I was doing the right stuff in front of the camera and the light was pretty good. And the crop was good. The composition was good. All those things make a difference. So yeah, those people look great because I shot them. Yeah. And I know it's going to sound hokey to some people. They're not going to believe it. And I don't know how to sell it other than that.
Well, no, I think you are saying it. You have to have an eye for it. You can't kind of make someone a good photographer. That's what I hear you. There's a certain there is a creative element that's unique to you. And that's why you can take those kinds of photographs.
Well, I don't think I said that. Okay. Well, I disagree a little bit.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me.
Because it's the expression part of it. Expression is science. Humans do it. It's not cultural. It's not learned. If you go find the lost tribe in the Amazon who've never seen people outside of their group before, they do it. It's just a human thing. When humans smile naturally, certain muscles in the face move. When people are confident or when people are scared, certain muscles do certain things. The orbicularis oculi muscles will increase the palpebral fissures when people are scared or surprised or out to lunch or whatever. And they decrease the palpebral fissure when people are confident and when they're smiling naturally. So that gives you a lot of control over it. And that is knowledge. I can show that to somebody, whether they get it, whether they can make it happen with other humans, totally different question. Like one of my skills is just being able to make people smile naturally, even if they don't know what to do, even if, they've always been self-conscious about their eyes because Sally Smith says something ugly to them in 8th grade. It's like, That's kind of part of my job. So yeah, there is an artistic element to, yeah, I like certain things. I can usually tell you why though. That doesn't mean most of the stuff is, besides the science of expression and the mostly science about body language and stuff. The rest of it is a matter of aesthetic opinion, and reasonable people can disagree about it. And so there's maybe where the artistic element of it comes in.
Do you have to establish some kind of a relationship with the person that you're photographing before you
It,
actually do it?
it is super helpful, yeah, for a number of reasons. But the biggest reason is that, you know, a lot of people do come into this scenario kind of been out of shape about it. Like when the last professional headshot that I had taken as a lawyer, it was terrible. And like the night before, I'm in my bathroom looking at my stupid face in the mirror, trying to figure out, well, I want to look good. I want to look cool. Like I think I've seen that before. How do I do that? And I couldn't figure it out. I just tried a fake teeth smile and a fake lips together smile, and then gave up and was like, all right. Um, so if you can imagine, if I've got somebody like that coming in, there is a lot of interpersonal interaction, establishing rapport. Yeah, super, super confident. I had a group of, it was like a leadership team from some company, and they were real excited about coming in. I think they treated it almost like a team building exercise. We just blocked off a day for them, and we did a bunch of shots, and it was tons of fun. And they were really happy with it, but they kept warning me about this guy. Let's say his name is Muhammad. And they were like, look, he's good at what he does, but I can't remember how they described it, but they basically these people had worked together for a long time, so they were very comfortable with each other. But they made him sound like he was a war criminal or something. He's like, he does not want to do this. He's going to be disagree, you know, that kind of stuff, but in a loving way, because I liked him. But anyway, so this guy comes in, and as we're walking into the studio, this is kismet. Like this, normally I can make it happen, but I just lucked into this one. And turns out his wife was from South Africa. My daughter just got married to a guy from South Africa. And so we started talking about all the immigration hoops that they have to jump through. And he was kind of grousing about it. And then I was grousing about it with him. Boom, instant rapport. And by the end of the deal, yeah, we got shots that he liked and were normal. And then we just started goofing around. He was having so much fun. And so I looked like a hero to these guys. I was like, guys, you didn't have to worry. I've got it. But rapport is super important. But also, you know, people are going to be kind of bent out of shape because you don't know what Sally Smith said to them in 8th grade. And they may not tell you initially. I can usually suss it out. I can usually tell if some people, and it's weird because like you never know with this stuff. I could get a guy. I had a guy in here the other day, a nice looking guy, not, you know, not Brad Pitt, but like I thought he was a good looking dude. If I had to look like him, I wouldn't feel like I got cheated.
Yeah.
And I could tell he was bent out of shape about his face. And then how do you deal with that? Everybody's a little different, but it's important if they trust me, if they know that I'm on their side. I'm not just doing this because I get a check. I really love this stuff. I'm passionate about it. I want them to succeed. I want them to have the experience that I had when I got that first good shot of myself. Usually with the people that I get in here, that's not a problem. We figure it out.
Well, you mentioned trust, and so kind of brings me to my next question. Like, what do you do when people tell you they want to have their hair? Well, first of all, do they need to come in with a makeup person, a hair person? Maybe number two is, do they have a certain way they want to look, and you know that's not going to work exactly in terms of like what they're wearing? And I say hair, makeup. What do you do? Or how do you handle it?
Those are great questions. The first one, hair and makeup. Yeah. So for dudes, I'm as egalitarian as they come, but I do tend to treat men and women different in here. Every now and then, maybe a couple times a year, I'll get somebody who contacts me and says, "Hey, that's not my thing. Can we do it this way?" And yeah, we do it. But most people, again, it's men and women different. So with men, I don't like makeup on men. It looks squirrely on a guy. It covers up stuff. I think if you're a man, you need some junk on your face. You need to helps to look masculine. And most of the men's skin problems I can handle in better ways. If there's some redness, that's easy to take out later. I could get out a green stick and just rub it on his face, but that's going to make him feel, think about if a man's already uncomfortable, if I start to put makeup on him, that's going to make him more uncomfortable. So I like to just handle all that in post. The only thing I do in real life is if they're greasy, and a lot of times they are kind of shiny. We take care of that in real life. And there's ways to do that where it doesn't feel like I'm putting makeup on them. With women, yeah, every shot that you see on my website, all of those people worked with a hair and makeup artist that I've selected and knows how I like to do it. Just the hair moves are really super important because there's a zillion ways hair could be, and some of them are not going to feel like her to her, and some of them are going to feel like her, but it's too close to the face and framing it too close, or it's framing it too far away. And depending on a woman's face shape, that really makes a difference and can be the difference between, yeah, like I think it's a good headshot, but she isn't pumped about it as opposed to a shot that she loves. So all that's super important to take care of or take charge over. It's why I don't like doing the shots where the company wants me to spend 5 minutes with each person. It's like, we're not going to do as well. If you want to do them kind of substandard, that's a great formula for it. So taking care of that is super important. Now, whether it fits her personal style or not, I think that's handled in a couple of ways. Certainly the makeup artist talks to her. We ask her to show up with her hair kind of the way she likes to see it, so we don't have to guess about that. And then we take charge of it from that point. And with makeup style, you're right. There are a zillion ways to do makeup, and there's certainly a lot of professional women who just don't wear a lick of it. And what we're doing is typically doing makeup that photographs in a light, natural way in the studio for the way that I light them. And the makeup artist will talk to her before they get started to figure out what her general style is. Based on the work that I show on my website, based on the type of client that I tend to attract, that's almost always perfect. Occasionally, you can imagine if we've got somebody who's got, maybe this is more of a regional thing, but like if somebody who wears chola makeup or has a bunch of piercings and the septum piercing, maybe isn't going to look exactly. I think I'm going to tend to not attract people like that as clients. If I do, I'll just advise them about, like if you look at my work, you don't see a lot of necklaces on women, and it's on purpose. It's just, it doesn't add much, and
it distracts, I think,
it
doesn't
distracts.
it? Yeah.
100%. But if you talk to a lot of really smart, successful women, or if you could peer into their brain, I guarantee you a lot of them, their first thought is, oh, we're doing headshots next week. Oh, I'll wear that necklace, and it's a very normal thing to think about, but it takes, if the photographer will say, hey, let me tell you why I wouldn't do that. Let me give you some advice. And that goes back to what we were talking about before. Most of my clients look at me as an expert, somebody that they trust. And it makes talking about stuff like that a lot easier.
Now, what about things like moles and wrinkles and making someone look a little bit younger? How do you remove those, or what do you do?
So everybody's a little different. There are going to be some people who come in and they're like, hey, that's me. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Yeah, you can clean up the little stray hairs and stuff, but leave me alone. And then there are going to be people who are like, okay, let me tell you what I want you to do. I tend to like less retouching on the back end. I want it to look more like you. And so I advise them about it. We talk about it because here's one thing that most people don't think about. In general, I do like the idea of, hey, I want to look like me. I'm taking care of myself. I'm proud of it. But looking at you in a picture is not the same as looking at you in real life. It's a moment frozen in time. And if you think about it, you'll scrutinize that face in a way you never would in real life. You're not going to like stare at somebody like you're checking them out at some meeting or something. We kind of make eye contact, we break it, we come back. But when I'm photographing people, I will often see things in the shots that I never saw when we were talking. And so that hyper focus is kind of unfair as well. So I think there's a compromise to be made. I don't want to make it look not like you. I don't want to, if opposition research gets a hold of it and they're like, look, they took this thing off. I don't want that. But at the same time, if it's something that because of that static shot, that close crop that we noticed that we might not have noticed before, then yeah, I might knock it down a little bit because otherwise I think that wouldn't be fair either. But we talk about it because people are going to have different temperatures for that.
Yeah, and it's a delicate balance, I would imagine, because you don't want to walk into, you present yourself with your photograph in a certain way, and then you look entirely different than when you walk in or, to get the job or to have the interview. So that I would assume would not be a good thing. And it brings me to the next question, but how long should you keep a headshot? I mean, how long, a year let's say, or 2 years or whatever, depending, I guess, on how often you use it, right?
So there's two things I want to tell you. Something you just touched on, but I'll answer your question first.
Okay.
There's no number. I think just how much does it look like you is a huge factor. If you just like a simple example is you're a woman and you have changed your hair color. Yeah, you're going to look really, really different typically. And so, yeah, I think that's a no brainer. You got to change that because people that could legitimately confuse people. Um, and so I don't have any disagreement with that. I've had clients get by with 8, 9 years, and that's probably too long because we change a lot in that time. But yeah, it's how much you still look like you. And the only other caveat to that would be some people just need more looks. For some people, it's like, hey, I want that one shot that's iconic of me, representing me at all times in all places. And then there are going to be people who are like, hey, no, I need some variety. I need to mix it up. Or maybe, in different places. I've shot like the last 3 presidents of Shell, and we do a lot of different looks because the expression's a big part of it. And there are going to be times when a big oil company needs to look serious, and there are going to be times where they need to look a little more friendly or a little more confident or whatever it is. Or the current and past presidents were women. They need to, women's clothing's got more variables. They need to look more businessy, maybe for the shareholders. I don't know. And then maybe, she's speaking to a women's business group and she wants to look a little more feminine. She might need a lot more looks and a lot more often. And the other, I wanted to mention, but I forgot what I was going to say. All right, never mind. There's the answer to that question.
Okay. You'll think of it. But so the whole, as we're discussing all of this, it's a pretty complex relationship that you have with the camera, with the person themselves. There are so many people who do this, and now I can understand why they don't do it well, because there's just a lot of stuff that's involved in doing this. One of the things, you have photographers who do landscapes or who do jewelry, for instance, high-end jewelry or high-end food photographers. What's the difference between them and you?
Probably the biggest one is that their subjects don't have any feelings about the way that they look.
That's true.
Based on how they were treated in 8th grade. Yeah, the human element is crazy. Also, they can move the jewelry around. They can decide I'm going to shoot the mountain at sunrise or sunset or whatever. But those things don't have expression. And expression, we've talked about great. You've really pulled a lot of stuff out of me. But the most important thing about headshots is the expression. It sounds hokey, but what I do for people is I get shots where they look super confident, like they're good at what they do. They're experts in their field. They're successful people, and they're nice, trustworthy, likable people. They're good people who are good at what they do. And it's the expression that does that. And landscape, food, pretty much anything else non-human, maybe animals, there's a bit of it, but it's the expression. And that's what made me look more attractive in that first good shot. The confidence was fantastic. And it's just what the facial muscles are doing. So the real trick to headshot photography, and I know I think you'd mentioned AI in the beginning. Obviously,
I was
biased.
I'm
so biased.
Yeah.
But AI doesn't do that. AI, let me back up. I'm going to cast just a bit of a wider net, because if I could tell your audience anything, it would be the following. The thing about, why do people even do headshots? I get really bad answers to that question. Not false answers, but just poor answers. Oh, to put a name with a face. Oh, well, you kind of have to. Everybody does these days. Okay, true. But for my clients, we're typically doing this because that headshot is going to be the first impression they make on a lot of people they care about, potential clients, potential employers, their peers, potential romantic partners. All that is based on the expression. And the vibe that you put out could be anything. Let me give you an example I think is instructive. Let's say that a law firm sends me new hires and I get 3 young women in. The first young woman might say, oh, well, what did everybody else do? I want to do what everybody else did. And then the next young woman might say, well, I'm so sick and tired of being underestimated. Somebody thought I was a secretary the other day. I want to look really strong, really confident. And then the third young woman might say, I like it when they underestimate me. I want them to underestimate me. Those are 3 completely different goals. And AI isn't going to do that. AI is just going to make something that resembles you. And that's what I do with my clients. You know, the AI thing is insidious. So many smart people are going for it now. And like I said, I'm obviously biased, but I think it's just such a loser thing to do. I've got a friend who she used to do TV news, and her last market was New York. And so she's obviously kind of a superstar. She has a consulting business now. Really good looking blonde, really nice, really smart. Big fan of hers. And I saw on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago she had AI pictures of herself, and and so of course I start giving her guff about it in a text, and she said, "Oh well, yeah, I just haven't had time to do new shots. I need to do new shots." And then she added, "But with some light and some makeup, it's not too far off." And I told her, let's say her name is Jane. I said, "Jane, if you think that looks like you with hair and makeup and lighting, you're catfishing yourself."
Yeah.
And she did not like that. She's like, "Well, what am I that? You know how y'all are." She says, "Am I that rough in real life?" Like, no, I love your face, but it doesn't. It resembles you. But the main point is crafting the right first impression
is critical. And I hate to cut you off. We have 1 minute left. So I don't want,
I ranted too much.
No, it was great. We got so much good information, but
label this one part one.
Yeah, this is part one. We can do a part two, but now just tell us where we can go, where people can find you Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram.
Here's the hub.
Okay.
Remember when you and I were talking earlier, you got my name right? They usually don't. It looks like it's Gillett, but it's Gillette. And so the URL is liketherazor.com.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay, good. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show today. This was great.
Oh, I love talking to you. The timbre of your voice.
Yeah.
This is the best.
Good. Thank you. Yes, yours too. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kathryn.
We'll do part two.